All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're going back to 2018.
Ooh, little time travel.
Yeah. With this academic paper titled Blockchain Technology, Bitcoin and Ethereum, a brief overview.
Wow.
It's crazy how much the crypto world has changed even in just a few years,
Yeah.
especially given that back then there were already over 1,400 cryptocurrencies.
Mind-blowing.
I know. So today we're going to really dig into the core of blockchain tech,
Okay.
explore how Bitcoin changed everything, and then of course understand the rise of Ethereum.
Yeah, I think what's so fascinating about this paper is it really unveils the origins of blockchain.
Yeah.
It wasn't just this sudden breakthrough.
Yeah.
There were so many earlier attempts to create digital currencies,
Yeah.
some even dating back decades.
That's right. The paper even mentions Chom's work on untraceable electronic mail
Oh, yeah.
back in the 80s. And get this, it even talks about proof of work being explored as early as 1992.
Wow.
It's just amazing to see how these ideas that seem so fundamental to blockchain now,
They're
right?
kind of germinating. It's like way before Bitcoin even came on the scene.
Exactly. Makes you wonder, what brilliant ideas are floating around today?
Right.
That'll be, totally obvious in a few years.
Yeah.
But while these early attempts were super innovative, they couldn't quite solve all the issues.
Yeah. What were some of those?
Well, double spending was a big one.
Right. Right.
How do you stop someone from spending the same digital coin twice?
Especially without a central authority like a bank keeping track.
Exactly. And that's where Bitcoin's breakthrough really lies.
Totally.
So in 2008, this mysterious figure, or maybe even a group known as Satoshi Nakamoto,
Ooh, mysterious.
right, published this paper that changed everything.
Yeah.
They introduced Bitcoin, a decentralized peer-to-peer network that used this public ledger we now call the blockchain.
So that's like a digital record of every
Yeah.
Bitcoin transaction, right?
Exactly. And it's distributed across a huge network of computers.
Making it like practically impossible to tamper with.
That's mind-boggling. No single point of failure.
Nope.
So walk me through how a Bitcoin transaction actually works.
Okay.
If I wanted to send some Bitcoin to, well, Satoshi Nakamoto themselves.
Uh-huh. Well, let's assume you could find them.
Right.
So each user has a wallet with unique private and public keys.
Okay.
Your private key is like your super secret password.
Got it.
And your public key is kind of like your account number.
Okay.
So when you want to start a transaction, your private key digitally signs it, proving it's really you.
Interesting.
And then that transaction is broadcast to the entire network.
To the miners.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to know what those digital gold diggers are really doing.
Well, they're the unsung heroes,
Oh, okay.
constantly working to verify and add new transactions to the blockchain. And they do this by competing to solve these crazy complex mathematical problems.
Oh.
Whoever solves it first gets to add a new block of transactions to the chain. And they get rewarded with, newly minted Bitcoin.
So it's like a giant Sudoku puzzle that gets harder with every new block.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, what if two miners solve the puzzle at almost the same time?
That's a good question.
Right. Wouldn't that create two different versions of the blockchain?
Well, that's where the longest chain concept comes in.
Okay.
The network always goes with the chain that has the most work behind it.
So the one with the most blocks added.
Exactly. And that ensures everyone agrees, even if there are, temporary forks.
So the blockchain has a self-correcting mechanism.
Yeah, pretty genius.
Genius. But this paper also talks about Bitcoin's scalability issue.
Yeah.
And it was pretty shocking when they compared Bitcoin's transaction rate to Visa's.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge difference.
Right.
Bitcoin can only handle less than 7 transactions per second. Wow. Because of its block size limit of 1 MB.
So tiny.
But Visa can handle, tens of thousands.
No way.
As Bitcoin got more popular, that limitation became a real problem.
I can imagine waiting days for a transaction to go through isn't ideal.
Yeah, definitely not.
What were some of the solutions they came up with?
Well, there were a few different approaches.
Yeah.
One was SegWit, which stands for segregated witness.
Okay.
It was meant to make things more efficient and pave the way for second layer solutions like the Lightning Network.
Ooh, the Lightning Network. I've heard that name thrown around.
Yeah, so basically it runs on top of the main blockchain,
Okay.
handles transactions off-chain to free up space and speed things up.
So creating express lanes for certain transactions.
Exactly. while the main highway handles the regular traffic.
I like that analogy. But the paper also mentions more extreme measures like hard forks.
Right. Those aim to tackle scalability head-on
Yeah.
by making the block size bigger and changing how mining works.
Like with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold?
Yeah, exactly. Those are examples of a hard fork.
Interesting.
It basically creates a split in the blockchain, resulting in two totally separate cryptocurrencies.
Like a family tree branching out.
Yeah, good way to put it.
So Bitcoin was revolutionary but had its limitations.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where Ethereum comes in, right? What
Yeah.
led to its creation?
Well, Ethereum was the brainchild of Vitalik Buterin. He saw that Bitcoin, while amazing, couldn't do everything.
Right.
He envisioned a system that could run any kind of computation.
Wow.
It was this vision of smart contracts.
Smart contracts.
Yeah.
Sounds futuristic.
It kind of is. Essentially, Ethereum is what we call Turing complete,
Okay.
meaning it can work like a real computer running any program. That opens up so many possibilities.
Like what?
Imagine self-executing agreements right on the blockchain.
Whoa.
They automatically enforce themselves when certain conditions are met.
So, like, I could sell my car using a smart contract.
Exactly.
And it would automatically transfer ownership once the buyer sends the crypto.
That's the idea.
Wow. It's secure, transparent, and no middleman.
Exactly. Ethereum enables trust and automation on a whole new level.
Incredible. But Ethereum's structure seems pretty different from Bitcoin's.
Yeah, it is.
What are some of the key differences?
Well, Ethereum uses accounts instead of just focusing on transactions.
Gotcha.
Each account can hold Ether.
That's the cryptocurrency of Ethereum, right?
And they can execute smart contract code.
Cool. And what about gas? I see that mentioned a lot.
Gas is really clever.
Yeah.
It's a way to measure and pay for the computational resources used on the Ethereum network. So, like, the more complex the transaction or contract, the more gas it uses.
So even in the decentralized world, nothing is truly free.
That's right.
But this all seems so well thought out.
Yeah.
Did Ethereum run into any major problems early on?
Well, there was this one event that shook the Ethereum community, the DAO hack.
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
The DAO was like this decentralized venture capital fund built on Ethereum.
A community-run investment fund, basically.
Yeah, and it raised a ton of money, over $150 million.
What?
But there was a vulnerability in its code, and a hacker got away with a huge chunk of the funds.
How much did they get?
$50 million. It caused a huge rift in the community.
Yeah, I bet.
The debate was, should they reverse the hack or stick to the principle of blockchain's immutability?
That's a tough one. Immutability is so important for blockchain.
Right.
But a theft that big is hard to ignore.
And that's what eventually led to a hard fork,
Oh, wow.
splitting Ethereum into two chains. Ethereum, ETH, and Ethereum Classic, ETC.
Wow. A defining moment for sure.
Yeah, it really showed how complex decentralized governance can be.
Yeah.
And the dilemmas that happen when code meets the real world.
What a story. This deep dive is full of twists and turns. Before we move on, can you explain ERC20 tokens?
Sure. So ERC20 is basically a standard for creating tokens on Ethereum. Think of it like a blueprint
Okay.
that ensures all tokens can work together within Ethereum.
That makes sense.
It makes it easy for developers to make new tokens that can interact with existing ones.
So ERC20 is like a universal language for Ethereum tokens.
Yeah, something like that.
Amazing. Are there any cool examples of like decentralized applications using ERC20 tokens? What are those called again?
dApps.
dApps, yes.
There are tons. Like Golem, it uses ERC20 tokens to create this decentralized supercomputing network where people can share their computing power and earn rewards.
And what about Augur?
Oh yeah, Augur's super interesting.
Yeah.
It's a decentralized prediction market platform.
What?
People could bet on anything, from elections to sports, all without a central authority.
Whoa, that's wild.
It is.
We've covered so much already.
I know.
It feels like a crash course in the evolution of blockchain.
We went from the early days of digital cash
Yep.
to Bitcoin's revolution,
Totally.
and now Ethereum's mind-blowing potential.
This is incredible.
And we're just getting started. It's clear that blockchain is more than just a fad.
Right.
It's like this paradigm shift that could change everything.
For sure. But like any new tech, it has its challenges. And that's what we'll get into next time.
Yeah. We'll explore some of the hurdles blockchain faces.
Like scalability, security, and the environmental impact.
Stay tuned. It's going to get really interesting.
I can't wait.
Welcome back to our blockchain deep dive.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty now.
Okay.
Our last conversation left me feeling excited, but also kind of overwhelmed by all the possibilities.
It is a lot to take in.
It is. But like any powerful tech, there are going to be challenges, right?
Absolutely.
And this paper definitely didn't shy away from those,
No, it doesn't.
especially when it comes to scalability.
Scalability is a big hurdle for sure.
Yeah.
It's just the way distributed ledger works, where every single node has to process and validate every transaction.
Right.
It kind of creates built-in limitations.
Yeah, I see that.
Like as networks grow and there are more and more transactions, things can really slow down.
It's like trying to fit a whole city's worth of traffic onto a single lane road.
That's a good way to put it.
We saw that with Bitcoin's limited block size.
Right.
But does that issue affect other blockchains too?
Oh, absolutely. Even Ethereum.
Really?
Even with its more flexible design, it's had its own scalability struggles.
Interesting.
But the cool thing is,
Yeah.
developers are always coming up with new ways to solve this.
Okay, so what are some of the approaches they're exploring?
Well, one that's looking really promising is sharding.
Sharding.
Yeah. So basically, you break the blockchain up into smaller pieces,
Okay.
more manageable chunks. This lets different nodes process different parts of the network.
At the same time?
Yep, simultaneously, which increases the overall capacity.
Oh, that's clever. Like turning that single lane road into a multi-lane highway.
Exactly.
Are there any other solutions out there?
Well, there are also these layer 2 solutions,
Okay.
like the Lightning Network. We talked about that with Bitcoin.
Right.
They basically work on top of the main blockchain, handling transactions off-chain.
So it's like creating express lanes for those transactions.
Yeah. That frees up space and makes things faster.
I love these analogies. They really help.
Glad to hear it.
But scalability isn't the only challenge, right?
No, for sure.
What about security?
Right.
All those stories about hacks and stolen crypto, it makes me a little nervous.
Well, it's important to remember that the blockchain itself is inherently secure
Okay.
because of the cryptography it's built on.
Right.
Like, to actually tamper with the blockchain,
Yeah.
you'd need to control most of the network's computing power,
Which is practically impossible.
pretty much.
Okay, so the chain itself is unbreakable.
Yeah, could say that.
But what about everything else around it, like exchanges and wallets?
Yeah, you bring up a good point.
All those stories about exchange hacks and people losing their private keys, it's scary.
You're right to be cautious. The blockchain might be super secure,
Yeah.
but other parts of the system can be vulnerable. Exchanges, where people buy and sell crypto. They've been targets for attacks.
Right.
And then there's always the human element.
What do you mean?
People losing their keys, falling for scams.
Oh, yeah, those phishing scams are everywhere.
It's like having this fortress with impenetrable walls.
But the gate is wide open.
Exactly.
Okay, so security is definitely complex.
It is. It requires vigilance at every level, from the tech itself to how people use it.
That makes sense. So this brings us to another topic that I know is kind of controversial. The environmental impact of blockchain.
Ah, yes, that's a big one.
I've heard that Bitcoin mining uses a crazy amount of energy.
It's true. Bitcoin's proof-of-work system
Yeah.
relies on those miners solving complex math problems, and that takes a lot of energy.
Right, and as more miners join the network,
Yeah.
and the competition heats up,
The energy use goes up, too.
like an arms race for computational power, but the planet is paying the price.
Some people definitely argue that it's unsustainable.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's not as simple as crypto bad, environment good.
Right, there's got to be more to it.
There are definitely counterarguments.
Like what?
Well, some argue that Bitcoin mining actually encourages the use of renewable energy.
Really?
Yeah, because miners are always looking for the cheapest sources of energy.
That makes sense.
And renewable energy is often the cheapest option now.
Interesting.
And also, newer cryptocurrencies like Ethereum,
Yeah.
they're exploring more energy-efficient systems,
Like what?
like proof of stake.
Proof of stake.
It's a different way of reaching consensus that doesn't require all that energy-intensive mining.
That's good to know.
So it seems like the industry is aware of the environmental concerns,
Yeah.
and they're actively working on solutions.
That's encouraging. So besides energy use, what other challenges are out there?
Well, regulation is a big one.
What do you mean?
Governments are still trying to figure out how to handle crypto and blockchain.
Ah, so it's kind of the Wild West out there.
Pretty much. And that uncertainty can make things difficult for businesses and investors.
I can imagine it's like trying to play a game without knowing the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the issue of interoperability.
Interoperability.
Basically, it means how well different blockchains can work together.
Okay.
Right now, a lot of them are like isolated islands
Mm.
with their own currencies and languages.
That doesn't sound very efficient.
No, it makes it harder for them to communicate and collaborate.
It's like we need to build bridges between those blockchain islands.
Uh-huh, exactly. Luckily, a lot of smart people are working on that,
Well, that's good news.
trying to make the whole ecosystem more connected.
This deep dive is like peeling back the layers of an onion. We've uncovered a lot of complexity.
It's true, blockchain is both revolutionary and full of challenges.
Totally. But what strikes me is, even with these challenges, there's so much innovation happening.
Oh, absolutely,
He
yeah.
feels like everyone is trying to find solutions and make things better.
It's a really exciting space to be a part of.
It is. So far, we've explored the history, the tech, the challenges.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
covered a lot of ground.
This paper has given us a great foundation.
It has.
But the story isn't over yet, right?
Not even close. In part 3, we'll shift our focus to the future.
Okay.
What could blockchain do for different industries?
Mm.
How could it change the way we live and work?
Ooh, I can't wait to explore those possibilities.
I think you'll find it fascinating.
I'm sure I will. We'll be back soon to talk about what the future holds. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
The grand finale.
I know, we've gone from the early days of blockchain
Yeah,
to the rise of Bitcoin and Ethereum.
it's been quite a journey.
It has. Now let's look ahead.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for this tech?
Well, we've talked about the challenges,
Right.
but the potential is just incredible.
Totally. And this paper hints at a future where blockchain changes everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Industries transformed, our lives revolutionized. I mean,
It's exciting stuff.
it is. Let's talk about those possibilities.
Like-
We mentioned smart contracts before and how they can automate agreements, right?
Yep.
So what are some real-world applications that could actually change industries as we know them?
Well, one area that's already seeing huge changes is decentralized finance.
DeFi.
DeFi, exactly.
I've heard that term thrown around.
Yeah, it's basically about creating a financial system that's transparent, accessible, and not controlled by any one entity.
So cutting out the middleman, like the banks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where you can lend, borrow, trade, even get insurance,
Wow.
all powered by blockchain and smart contracts.
It's like taking the power back from those big institutions.
Yeah.
No more shady systems or crazy fees.
And it's not just about replicating the old systems.
Yeah.
DeFi is about creating brand new financial tools and markets that we couldn't even dream of before.
That's incredible. Are there any other industries where blockchain could be a game changer?
Oh, tons. Supply chain management is a big one.
Okay.
Think about being able to track a product from start to finish,
Oh.
ensuring it's authentic, ethically sourced,
So no more counterfeit goods.
Exactly.
Or like unethical labor practices hidden in the supply chain.
Consumers could finally know exactly where their products come from.
Wow. That would be huge for industries like food, medicine, luxury goods.
It would be a game changer.
Totally. What other applications come to mind?
Well, voting and identity management are two big areas.
Okay.
Imagine a voting system that's totally secure and transparent, or managing your identity and personal data,
On the blockchain.
all protected by blockchain's immutability and security.
But that brings up privacy concerns, right?
It does, and it's something developers are working on.
What do you mean?
Well, if everything is on a public ledger, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
But they're incorporating new technologies,
Like what?
like zero-knowledge proofs.
What are those?
Well, it lets you prove you have certain info without revealing the info itself.
So like I could prove I'm over 21 without showing my ID.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Blockchain isn't just about efficiency and transparency.
Oh,
It's
wow.
about giving individuals more power.
It sounds like it could lead to a more equitable society.
That's the hope.
It's like giving people the tools to build a better world, you know?
A powerful idea.
It does sound a bit utopian, but are there any downsides?
Well, we have to remember technology is a tool.
Right.
It can be used for good or for bad.
That's true.
The future of blockchain really depends on the choices we make.
It's like Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
So if we had to sum up our blockchain deep dive, what are the key takeaways?
Okay, well, first,
Yeah.
blockchain is more than just hype. It's a real innovation that could change everything.
Yeah.
It's not just about cryptocurrency.
Right.
It's about rethinking how we organize ourselves and interact with the world.
It's about shifting power, transparency, trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And second, The blockchain itself is super secure,
Yeah.
but the ecosystem around it isn't perfect. We have to be smart about security and protect ourselves.
Like guarding those private keys with our lives.
Uh-huh. Pretty much.
And lastly,
The future of blockchain is still being written,
that's a good point.
and we all have a role to play in shaping that future.
Powerful stuff. This deep dive has been incredible.
I agree.
We went from the history to the tech, the challenges, and all those amazing possibilities.
It's been a wild ride,
It has. I feel like I understand blockchain in a whole new way.
and this is just the beginning.
I know. It's constantly evolving.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for
Yes.
sure.
To our listener, we leave you with this. If blockchain can really reshape our world, what part will you play?
That's the question, isn't it?
Stay curious, keep learning, and explore those possibilities.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.